The 19th century philosopher Thomas Carlyle referred to it as the jewel in the crown of the Solent. The Isle of Wight, nestling between the busy ports of Southampton and Portsmouth, is the destination of choice for holiday makers around the world. Known affectionately as the Island by its residents, the Isle of Wight is famous for its quaint thatched villages, such as here in the quiet seaside resort of Shanklin. But stray from the well-worn tourist paths and you'll find the island offers up many clues to its rich Yarndling heritage. Here, a Neolithic standing stone, called the Long Stone for obvious reasons, once marked the entrance to an ancient burial site in which archaeologists have unearthed a fine selection of clay whistling beads, ebony threading pins, and even a miniature scrimming basin or two. Equally impressive is the Earl of Yarborough monument, built in 1837 in memory of Charles Anderson Pelham, the first Earl of Yarborough. Pelham was considered one of the finest Yarndlers on the island. In his book Sketches by Boz, Charles Dickens writes, "Yarborough by name, Yarndler by vocation, Pelham exhibits all that is exemplary in modern Yarndlery." And as the sun goes down on this imposing Victorian monument, a new day dawns for the bustling town of Ryde, the island's second busiest port and entry point for most holidaymakers, be they keen Yarndlers or just families escaping from life in the big city. Ryde Marina offers up all the modern facilities that people come to expect these days, especially since Ryde Town Council voted to extend licensing hours several years ago. But for some, it's just about soaking up the idyllic sunshine. In the picturesque town of Brading, with its old-world tea rooms and traditional rustic cottages, it's a different story. Residents here are justly proud of the old Yarndling ways. In fact, many of them are descendants of the original Yarndling fellowships that once settled here from the mainland. In recent times, Brading Town Council, together with the Isle of Wight County Council, has sought to re-establish links with the town's Yarndling past by staging an annual festival of competitive threading at the town's famous bull ring. It may once have been used for the unsavoury practice of bull baiting, but nowadays you're more likely to stumble across a quilted seam hanger than a distressed animal. Drive a few miles south of Brading and you'll come to the sun worshippers' paradise of Ventnor, another town that takes pride in its rich Yarndling heritage. Recently, the Town Council, in partnership with the Ventnor and St Lawrence chapter of the Yarndling Guild, raised the required funds to construct a purpose-built museum of Yarndling, situated right here on the historic Ventnor Esplanade. This new building, designed in the modern style by local architects, will shortly be filled with a plethora of spinnakers, tarryfolds and chawns of all shapes and sizes. At least that's the plan. The Isle of Wight has long been associated with myths and legends, and never more so than here at St Olaf's Church in Gatcombe, a sleepy hamlet poised like a shiny new pin at the very centre of the island. The story goes that in 1831, a young farm girl, Lucy Lightfoot, took shelter inside the church during a violent thunderstorm. But when the rector entered soon after, he found no sign of the terrified girl. And stranger still, a wooden Yarndling jenny, complete with amethyst clock balancer, was missing from the hands of a stone statue of the 12th century knight Edward Astur. Astur, a well-to-do Yarndler who'd fought in the Crusades alongside Richard the Lionheart, had retired to the island to pursue his love of the ancient craft. Even now, on stormy nights, the locals swear they can hear the distinctive rattle of his stolen Yarndling jenny above the wind and the rain. Away from the eerie environs of Gatcombe, the Isle of Wight Military Academy in Yarmouth celebrates its links with the Soldiers and Sailors Yarndling Association by holding an annual military show and family fun day. Every July, keen young volunteers from organisations such as the Cowes Sea Cadets and the Lochs Green Junior Yarndlers Club meet up for a day of comradeship and camaraderie. These shows have been taking place since 1978, and every year they get bigger and better, and this year is no exception. Marching bands, always a firm family favourite, go hand in hand with various demonstrations of the Yarndler's craft. Asymmetrical platen spinning, decorating tufted Yarndler's hats the old-fashioned way, and how to carve a wooden Yarndling stool using just chisel, gouge and whittling knife. And if you're lucky, the Isle of Wight Royal Highland Regiment Reenactment Society will end the show with a bang. Before we take our leave of this enchanted island, let's not forget the quiet hamlet of Calbourne and its own unique Yarndling tradition. Every summer solstice, come rain or shine, the locals unveil their homemade figure of Thomas Chatter, sometimes called Tom of the Green, the unofficial patron saint of Yarndlers. Made from burlap sacking filled with newspaper and dressed in brightly coloured rags, this whimsical figure takes pride of place on the village green until the communal bonfire on the 1st of September. The Isle of Wight, an island of contrasts, and a jewel in the crown for Yarndlers the world over.